What do you call two mallards who both do and don't exist? A paradox. It can only go up from here. So if you're like me, then in addition to being severely nearsighted, you like paradoxes. Paradoxes are essentially contradictions that might be true, things that are counterintuitive. Today I'm going to go through 5 paradoxes that you can use to either confuse or impress your friends. First, a popular one, the liar's paradox. Let's say a friend comes up to you and says he's lying. Is he telling the truth? Well, if he's lying, then what he said was a lie, which means he's telling the truth. And if he's telling the truth, then what he said was the truth, which means that he's lying, i.e., contradiction. And the fun thing about this one, nobody has an answer for it outside of saying that there's a flaw with language. The next one is interesting. It's called the Ship of Theseus. Let's say my wooden ship, which you know everybody has in their backyard, had a damaged plank, so I replaced it. I would still consider it the same ship. But what if one by one, over the course of years, I changed a ton of planks until every single plank on the ship was replaced? Would that still be the same ship? If you think about it, the situation with one plank should be the same as the situation with all planks. There lies the paradox. The best explanation I found for this relies on the definition of same. One where same means identical quantitatively, and another where it means identical qualitatively. Like, you might say 2 barbells are the same because they look the same, but that's not true quantitatively. They're not the same barbell. Something is only quantitatively the same if it's itself. This means the ship is qualitatively the same, but different quantitatively, even when the first plank is changed. Another question. What do you call 2 mallards who were both born and not born? The birthday paradox. Well, what is the birthday paradox, you ask? Well, let me answer your question with a question. How many people do you think need to be in a room before it's likely that at least 2 of them share a birthday? Instinct may say somewhere around 180. Some might say 90. But would you believe that it's actually just 23? But it's actually true. The birthday paradox says that if there are at least 23 people in a room, there is above a 50% chance that 2 of them share a birthday. This seems crazy, but it's actually provable by some simple math. If you take the probability that nobody shares a birthday, subtract it from 1, then you get the probability that there's at least 1 shared birthday, which is over 50%. And if you have 70 people in a room, that probability goes to over 99.9%. So, if you ever want to have some fun, just get 23 friends together and bet that at least 2 of them share a birthday. You can tell them a lot of fun at parties. So here's another popular one. You and your partner just got arrested for a crime that could cost you 10 years in jail, but the officers separate you and interrogate you and tell you that you can cut a deal. If you confess and your partner stays silent, you get 0 years. If he confesses, then you both get 7 years. If you stay silent and your partner confesses, then you get 10 years. But if both of you stay silent, then you both only get 3 years. The cop tells you that your partner is making the exact same decision in the room next to you. Which do you choose? Well, let's look at the chart. Now, your decision doesn't have any effect on your partner, so we can assume that he chooses 1. Let's say he confesses. Well, then you have the option between confessing yourself or staying silent. If you confess, then you get 7 years. If you stay silent, then you get 10 years. So, you're going to confess, because that's going to get you less years. If your partner stays silent, then if you confess, you get nothing. And if you stay silent also, then you only get 3 years. But you can get nothing, so you would also confess. No matter what your partner chooses, confessing is the dominant strategy. The issue is, your partner's not an idiot, so he's going to do the exact same thing. So even though it would be more beneficial for both of you to stay silent and get 3 years, you're both going to confess, and you're both going to get 7 years. In this case, the dominant strategy leads you to a terrible outcome. And there's no solution to this dilemma. People have tested it over and over again, and people choose to confess because it's the dominant strategy. And last but not least, the raven paradox. Now let's say I was trying to prove the statement that all ravens are black. Now, one thing I could bring to support my claim would be a black raven, right? That would be evidence. But what if I showed you a white rose? Would that be evidence that all ravens are black? Well, logically, yes, because the statement that all ravens are black is logically equivalent to the statement that anything that's not a raven is not black. So a white rose, which is both not black and not a raven, would constitute as evidence that all ravens are black. That's what makes this a paradox. But what's interesting is I've actually found the satisfactory explanation for why this paradox exists. The reason this sounds so impossible is actually in how it's presented. Because you know the object is already a rose, it doesn't feel like evidence. But let's imagine another situation. Let's say instead of trying to prove that all ravens are black, you were trying to prove that all bleach is poisonous. So you took a random liquid and you took a sip. I still haven't died, so I guess it's not poisonous. But if you chemically analyzed it and discovered that it was water, or remember that you took it from the faucet a few minutes ago, you would not disprove the statement that all bleaches are poisonous. Thus, it would be a small support for the statement that all bleaches are poisonous. So really, a white rose would also be a small support that all ravens are black. So there you have it, 5 paradoxes you can use to confuse or entertain your friends. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and comment below. Let me know which one of these was your favorite, and make sure to click that subscribe button. See you in the future.